and welcome to One More Tune. Finally, we are here. People have been asking for a long time about when this is coming out, and there's a weird timing thing going on because we're going to record this the week that this comes out, but then when the first proper episode comes out, it's going back in time because we filmed a lot of episodes leading up to this. We just wanted to film this as a bit of an introduction about the podcast, what it is, what we're going to be talking about, and then hopefully we can get in from the next episode right back into the back catalogue and work our way from there.
Yeah, I think of this like a sort of pilot episode.
Yes.
Where you can get a little bit of context on the kind of things we're going to talk about.
100%.
Why we're doing this, why we think this might be interesting to people.
Yeah.
And, you know, for us, this is kind of like one of those things where we were always talking about what's next for our gigging, our lives and everything. So the context being that we are two live musicians, solo singers, play for parties, weddings, pubs, clubs, all stuff around the UK and further afield recently, which has been sick. But we wanted to share some of the stories behind the scenes because I think there's a lot of podcasts that do kind of like professional business style stuff, and we want to do some of that, but we want it to be less formalized. So 100%. Like I think a lot of those things can be kind of like slightly dry and very industry facing. I want this to be something where people who don't have a clue about music can listen to it and like just listen to the funny stories.
Exactly.
Because there are a lot of horror gig stories that in the first, I think maybe 10 episodes we've filmed, and there will be plenty more.
Yeah. So I think it serves a purpose for everyone. If you're listening as someone who's maybe seen us play live as a musician and you just want to hear some funny stories and what life is like as a full-time musician who's working, self-employed, trying to make money and get through. And then it serves a purpose for people who are musicians and are looking for some tips, tricks, advice, anything we've learned along the way in our past 10 years of doing this full-time and whatever. And it's going to be half informative and formal and then half just complete chaotic comedy. We've got some guests that will be coming on. We've done 2 guest episodes so far. We've got plenty more in the chamber that are going to come. But I think pretty much that summarises what we're going to talk about. We go on a lot of tangents.
It's going to be a lot kind of like more informal than there's a lot of music podcasts I see that are people talking from an industry side that's either like wedding band focused and it's all about how to do the technical side of things, or it's like people within music who are talking about original music rather than cover music. And 100%. I think before we started doing this, we started talking about a bit of a fallacy of like, you're either famous or you're a struggling musician. And actually there's like quite a big middle where 100%. A lot of people can actually live and make a good living and have a good life and have a fun time and a good work-life balance.
I hope this can serve as somewhat of an inspiration as well to anybody who is wanting to get out as a full-time musician and anyone who wants this as a job. I think there's a big stigma that people say, oh, that's not a job, like that's a hobby.
We still get it now, like, do you do this full-time?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like we ourselves, and we know people who do this not only full-time, but make very, very, very good livings out of this. And I think...
And we're hoping to get there one day. So maybe this is for musicians who are maybe more junior in terms of how many years they've been doing it and they can take tips from it. 100%. Maybe it's people who are our peers who can just relate to having to deal with, drunken people asking for requests every weekend or whatever.
100%.
Or it can be people who are more experienced than us looking back on us and going, oh, I remember when I was in the same position or boat, or I remember stories myself from back in the day. Or
my idea from a musician point of view of people listening who, if you are a musician, is it's the perfect thing, like if you're driving to and from a gig or something, just to put on, and it's basically like being in the room sat with a load of musicians talking about some crazy gig stories, talking about maybe some gear that we've bought, some recommendations or whatever, talking about some
how to
problems.
Deal with some issues or forgetting a thing or needing your power bank to charge your speaker when you're in the middle of a field or whatever. But that is all coming up on more episodes.
Exactly.
I think one of the other things I wanted to give a bit of context around, because obviously we're doing this under the hat of One More Tune
100%.
is a bit more kind of like broader concept about what the One More Tune name means as well. Because the podcast obviously is going to exist in this place for either musicians or non-musicians. Bit of funny stories, bit of tips and tricks.
Yeah.
The sort of behind the scenes, how it works being self-employed within the music industry, but it's also relevant to a lot of other people who basically
100%.
go out and do gigs all
I think
the time.
primarily it's an entertainment podcast. It is a comedy entertainment. A lot of stuff we talk about.
We haven't gone heavy industry.
yeah,
We've gone like how things work, but not like you need to then send this email to this person
I think
and then...
if you have no knowledge of music or being a musician, there's still a lot of gold. There's still a lot of entertainment value.
No, it's not exclusionary at all.
100%.
But I think with the short kind of like pilot episode that we're going to do for this first one, it's a good opportunity because we can maybe take a few clips out of this of when we were trying to explain what the One More Tune
100%.
thing as well.
Yeah.
So we've kind of banded together, right? Me and Connor recently. You've probably noticed that we're popping up a lot more on each other's pages and stuff. That's a little bit because I think we're both at a similar kind of point in our careers where things are going well and we're getting a lot more private parties, a lot more wedding work.
Yeah.
And it's to sort of like not feel so on your own as a self-employed solo musician.
Yeah.
Well, it's a funny thing, isn't it? Like it's like you're saying, if you're a musician and you can listen to this while going to a gig, driving to some gigs, you can't help it but have like, you know, a bit of dread or anxiety or whatever. If it's like a big thing, you know it's going to go well. You've done them loads of time before, but you can't switch that thing off in your head of like, what if this? What if that?
And it's a lonely
brain,
job, isn't it? Like, I mean, being a solo musician is a lonely job, and you spend like your whole sort of commute on your own. You set up, you're playing on your own.
You're often the life of the party, and then you stop playing, and everyone is still partying, but
100%.
you're like, you haven't been drinking, you haven't been like
100%. So I think that for me as well, it's like, you know, sort of musician friends sometimes can be hard to come by. You know, everyone's so busy and things. Yeah. So this kind of serves as a way of people
just a little community spot as well.
Yeah, exactly. Just
but the One More Tune thing more generally. So we wanted to kind of like think about how to formalize some of the next steps for us. Yeah. With a few different pillars. So the podcast being one of those pillars, us playing together as a duo being another one of those pillars, us running events. So the Claremont Acoustic event that I host every summer, I've brought in-house with the One More Tune stuff. So that's our sort of marquee event. And off that, we're going to try and do a few more events in a few more different places. There's talks about trying to do a slightly more clubby version of it in town somewhere. Still try and keep some of the sort of indoor-outdoor vibe that gives Claremont its sort of appeal. But stick it in town and maybe do it a little bit more sort of like upbeat the whole time rather than building up to that upbeat 100%. At the end. That's all in the pipeline to come. And the other aspect of things is we kind of want to be... We also talked about doing some agency stuff, and I think within the industry, agency stuff gets a really bad name. I think it can be... It can feel like that thing of someone taking money off a musician for doing a gig that they're not at, or whatever. There is some understanding around commission and stuff, but if you're... We want to try and do it in the fairest way possible, so...
I think we want to essentially work with some local venues starting off, work with some local venues that we can essentially help them get great entertainment in their
consistent,
venues.
Reliable, really good quality entertainment.
You know, because we've done this for so long, we have so many great contacts, we know lots of really good musicians, so that side of things is going to be slow build, but us essentially working closely with a lot of local venues to help musicians get and work, because that's a really big part of it. And we want to, especially with the podcast, the events, everything is about helping musicians to you know, get up to the level they want to be at and giving them the helping hand wherever we can.
We want everyone to be able to basically get to the point where they can just be full-time self-employed, making good money,
100%,
playing live tunes. Like we're both two examples of it being possible, and we've got different routes of how we got there. And through the episodes that we've done, you will understand how different the route is.
I think we have probably both been asked countless times, like by musicians who are maybe like younger or less experienced, and they've like, how did you do this? How did you get here? How did you do that? So this is kind of our way of saying, okay, I feel like after doing this now for 10 years, I feel like I know. I still don't know the answer.
We're not under the illusion that we know everything by any means.
We are still both learning.
Everyone still has a stinker. We're still figuring things
100%,
out. But we know we've got experience.
As you'll hear, we've still had a lot of disasters at gigs and stuff. But I think I'm at the point where, and I know you are as well, where like I feel like I know enough to help people to get to the level at least that I'm on.
Yeah, and even if it's just talking from our own personal experience, it's not necessarily we're not reaching further than we've actually experienced. We're never actually like just chatting shit about something we've never done. All of the stories and all of the tips come out of real experience of making a mistake or what goes well.
You can
how to look at things, how to set you up, what to.
You can expect stories of Harry's international
jet setting
lifestyle, getting like stuck in pouring rain in the south of France to nice sunny gigs in Portugal. You can expect some chaotic stories where gigs have not gone to plan.
Kind of falling off the stool. That is coming up. Maybe episode 1.
We know everyone
2,
can't
3.
wait to hear about that. Some very embarrassing moments on stage. We also, give a bit of help and advice to musicians about, when you start to do weddings, equipment that you need, gear, things not to do, how to keep audiences happy, engaged and stuff.
From a wedding planning point of view, what flows well, what to do, what not to do if you're planning your own wedding. Because, doing a couple hundred weddings now, you get the flow of what works, what doesn't work.
100%.
So hopefully there's a little bit of something for everyone.
Yeah,
we're going to get some mates on who you might recognise from some of our other gigs or the Claremont gigs or stuff that have got their own funny experiences to get to the point that they're at.
100%.
Obviously this, as we're filming now, the setup that we are using has changed from when we started. And we also know that it will change going forward. We're trying to keep this as simple as possible so we can make it easy to produce and keep running because we're basically trying to post every week.
Exactly.
There is obviously going to be a bit of flux from the start of this episode to what next episode looks like because that's going back in time when we had like a multicam setup. We were trying to basically get to like as jazzy a setup as possible.
We thought we were like,
let's
Hollywood
just
cinematographers at first.
And
then we realised...
Go to camera B.
Exactly. And then we realised that like...
We don't want that headache of editing, so we're trying to just do one camera, 2 mics.
Yeah, we have obviously very busy lives doing the music thing anyway, and it was too much of an ask for us to do all that editing. We would have had to hire in a team to help do it and stuff, and we just thought, you know what, like honestly, we can get the same points across, we can have the same conversations, and we can achieve the same goals just doing this with one camera. For now, this is the setup. I 100%. Imagine as hopefully we carry on with this and it grows and gets a good following, that we can develop and that, and hopefully this will get clipped out at some point where we go, it'd be so nice if we got our own studio one day. And then when we do get our own studio, we can take the clip from this, play it in our own studio, and be like, hey, look, we did it. Exactly.
So that's the aim. Plan. We're trying to build this, talk about our lives as musicians, give you some funny stories, maybe give you some tips if you are a musician.
We are also available to book, both as musicians and public speakers. I
definitely wouldn't book either of us for the second thing.
Well, I'm okay.
Doing the bingo, That's coming up in another episode.
Anyway, the point is that, we are also available to book as a duo whenever Harry has space in his diary, which is evidently
that's both of us.
Yeah, I know. But up to now, it's been you that's been booked, so I'm blaming you. But yeah, we also, the final thing that we want to do under the One More Tune umbrella is me and Harry are sort of assembling of sorts a kind of party/wedding duo. We have very similar sort of
performance styles, set
lists. So we're essentially merging together to make a sort of really highly upbeat party duo that you can book for weddings and events, and you will also see some clips on the socials of us playing together and things like that as well.
So share this, share any clips. Follow us on YouTube, follow 100%. Us on wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Please follow us on
individually.
Everything. Don't follow us in person because
that's happened as well. We'll get to that story
as well.
Follow our Instagrams, follow the One More Tune Instagram.
100%.
Both the TikToks, everything like that.
Amazing.
And we will roll on to the next episode next week. Okay?
Yeah.
And we'll leave
See
you
you then.
there.
We'll see you in the past.
Yeah.
I like that.
All
That's
right.
cool.
See you in a bit.